Happy New Year and welcome to Zuba's Corner. I hope you've had a wonderful start to 2024, and it is my prayer and wish for each and every one of us that 2024 brings lots of good things, lots of blessings, lots of testimonies for each and every one of us. I'm quite excited by the year, and I hope that wonderful things happen for all of us. So for this episode, I am going to continue my journey through the Bible. Towards the end of last year, we were going through First Samuel and all the interesting things and lessons I discovered in that book. And I have dived into Second Samuel, just started it. And while exploring Second Samuel chapter 2, I discovered something interesting. So, for as long as I can remember, I've been taught and I have thought that the first four kings of Israel as recorded by the Bible are as follows: Saul, David, Solomon, Rehoboam, and then it continues on and on and on and on from there. So as I got to 2 Samuel 2, I discovered that actually the list is not quite right. There is a king that's missing in that list. And I reached out to family and friends, just kind of did a quick little poll to see if everyone shared the same previous thoughts I did or what their knowledge was, including those who have been to Bible school and all of that. And that list, as I have it, or the list of the kings of Israel as I have it, was everybody's opinion. It was Saul, David, Solomon, Rehoboam. And if you pause and think about it, I am pretty sure that a majority of us can't think of, well, who is missing in that lineup? Well, in 2 Samuel 2, from 8 to 10, I discovered that actually, after Saul, Israel had another king for 2 years. Saul's son, Ishbosheth, was anointed king of Israel, and he actually ruled for, well, he wasn't anointed, he was crowned king of Israel, and he ruled Israel for 2 years. He wasn't just a fly-by-night king where, he was crowned today, gone tomorrow. 2 years is a pretty solid stretch of time, and he wasn't a kid. He was 40 years old, like he was a full-grown man who was crowned king of Israel, and he was king for 2 years. And while looking, the only time, as far as I can tell, the only mention of him is when he was crowned as king for 2 years. And then the one verse where it talked about how he died. He got murdered in his sleep just before David became king of Israel. And I found it all fascinating because I have read the Old Testament and I've been taught it since I was a child. And honestly speaking, he doesn't stick out. Like, until I came across it a few days ago, I really didn't remember that there was someone named Ishbosheth in the Bible. And it is also fascinating because every other king in the Bible, if you go all the way down to, I believe when you start talking about the kings, the book of First Kings, Second Kings, when you even go into Chronicles, for good or for bad, every other king is mentioned. They will say so and so, the son of so and so became king of Israel or of Judah from here to here. Even if they didn't dive into the person's life fully, the Bible will say, and he did evil deeds in the sight of the Lord, and in so and so he joined his fathers, and he was, he slept with his fathers or something like that. Even if it's just that one line, at least it will say they walked in the ways of the Lord, and at so and so they slept with their fathers, something like that. Or they did evil in the sight of the Lord, or they worshipped the idols of Baal. There's always a mention of how they lived their lives, or how they led the children of Israel. Was it in the ways of the Lord, or was it, or where did they disobey God? Even if it's just the one verse, the one line, you get an idea of the person's name, either when they became king or how long they were king, and what their impact was, for good or for bad, before they passed. Ishbosheth, we don't get that. We just get he got anointed or crowned. I keep saying anointed. He got crowned king of Israel. He was king for 2 years. He was killed in his sleep. That's it. That is it. In fact, that's why I'm calling this episode The Forgotten King. Because it's curious to me that there is no record of anything he ever did. Almost as if he was insignificant. He was just marking time. A person or a name to fill in that space in the 2 years between Saul and David. Whether he was good, whether he was bad, whether he was competent, we have no idea. He's just there. Like a space filler. We know nothing about his personhood. We know nothing about his reign. And it made me start thinking and wondering, when I am no longer here, how will history or the memory of those around me remember me? Will it just be like Ishbosheth's story? They will say, oh, Chizoba was here. She lived to the age of XXX. And then she passed away. And that's it. No influence on anybody. No one that can come out even from memory and say she did good. Nobody to say she influenced this. No one will even remember if I did anything. It's almost as if I just passed time, filled space, counted for census purposes. Some people say to fulfill all righteousness, or just to fulfill the head count and then be on the way. Like, the thought of that is actually distressing to me. I don't want my story to be like Ishbosheth's. I think it's going to be a shame to have gone through the ups and downs of life, and then at the end of it, it's just like, yeah, you were there. You filled space, no impact on anybody, on anything, even within your most intimate circles, parents, siblings, if you get married, children, nothing. I mean, I've met or heard of a lot of people like that, where during the funeral service, you can almost tell people are struggling to tell stories about a person. And then I've heard of and seen people who pass away, and there is no shortage of someone that will come out and say, this is how he or she impacted my life for good, or this is how he or she influenced me, or this is the great thing they do, or they did. Or when scores, I mean, lots of people come from different places when they hear, and they'll say, well, it's been a while, it's been 20 years, but I remember he or she did this for me or did this for my child. And then, there is opposite spectrum, people who we hear and say, what an evil person, they did so and so, and they were horrible, and bless the Lord, they're gone. That's a horrible record to leave behind, but at least it's something. There is some influence in the world, in at least the immediate environment. It might not be worldwide or nationwide, but there is proof, if you will, that you lived. And so I guess that's the question I'm asking us. In your sphere, in your world, are you remarkable? If you live today, God forbid it, but if God calls you home today and says your time on earth is enough, what record are you leaving behind, if any? Is it going to be one where people are trying so hard to search for who was he or who was she? What did he do? What did she do? How did she impact me? Even at the workplace, what was her impact here? What was his impact? Did he influence anybody for good or for bad? Like, if God calls you home today, what will your record be behind? How will history record you? Will it be like Ishbosheth, or will there be at least a one-page summary that says he or she was generous, walked in the ways of the Lord, they influenced the people for good, you know? Or will it just be, oh, she was here, he was here, he marked time, she marked time, and then we keep it moving? I know it's easier said than done, but in whatever space we find ourselves, it is important that our impact is felt. I think nothing is sadder than a life that expires with no good report, no memory, no impacts, not even in the most intimate of circles. We need to be diligent in all we do. At your workplace, whatever it is you're doing, do it well. Do it spectacularly. When we look at the lives of our loved ones, let's make sure that they remember us for great things. No one is saying do good things just so that for the heck of it, with an ulterior motive, so that when I'm not here, they will remember that I did something good. But just in general, be good. And then make sure you're working in your purpose. Every single one of us, no matter what we've been through in life, has a purpose. God has created us for something. God has intended for us to fulfill a need, for us to do something. And if you're in a space where you don't know what that is, I would say start talking to God now. And I know the conversation about purpose can be, it almost seems abstract when we say it. Walk in your purpose. I read a very good book about purpose, and I have a post on my blog about it, but I think I'll do a video about it as well. I think it explains what purpose is, how you find it, or at least how you get started on the journey to figure out what your purpose is if you don't know what it is. How purpose differs from passion, etc, etc. So I think I will do a video about that, but right now there is a post on my blog about the book, a review of the book actually. But yeah, so let's not be like who I'm calling the forgotten king, Ishbosheth. Let's not live a life that will just be a shell, to just be your marked time. Let's live a life where there is impact in our environment. Let's live a life where we're a great influence to those around us, so that if we are no longer here, when we are no longer here, there'll be something good and something wonderful. I mean, not everybody's going to love you. Some people might not have anything good to say just because they're jealous or whatever, but we're not going to worry about those people. We're going to worry about us and the legacy we leave behind. So, those are my thoughts on the Forgotten King. If you do get a chance to dive into 2 Samuel, I believe that's chapter 2, verses 8 to 10 about Ishbosheth. Please let me know your thoughts. I am always interested to hear what you find out or what you think. As always, remain blessed.